Hi there, and welcome to the Nita Black Show. I'm going to be coming at you a little differently now for the new show, or for the new series. We want to say thank you to all of the for all of the positive feedback that we are receiving on the different series that we've done so far. We are preparing for the Black Panther anniversary in October. So there's the Black Panther School and the Black Panther Museum are being, the Poetry Museum is being restructured, and we are going to be focusing on some of these political things that are going on in the Black communities. The Black Panther Party is a political party, as many people may not know. And there are a lot of political things that are going on that will seriously affect the Black community, and will be pushing the Black community back towards that physical, industrial enslavement. So it's been going on. Black people have seen it over the past 10 years, and it's been happening right in front of their faces, and many of them are still pretending and playing around and discussing back and forth things that have nothing to do with what is really going on with our Black men, Black women, and Black children that are being herded back into the physical, industrial enslavement by whites. So we're going to be starting our new series, and those that are part of the solution for the Black Community Fix It campaign, you will be receiving a new message number for the emergency messages and incidents that happen in the Black community, that are occurring in the Black community that we need to know about. But it will be for that purpose only. I tell people that I receive about 300 calls per month, and about from Black activists, and about 10% of those calls are from Black people who regularly donate to the Black Panther School and the Black Panther Poetry Museum, because we go through a lot of paper, ink, and other supplies. But about 290 of those calls or more are from Black activists that are whining about this, whining about that, wanting to talk about this and talk about that that's going on in the Black community, and wanting to discuss and debate and all that good stuff, talking about Africa and what we got to do for Africa, and they can't even do anything to improve the situation for Black people right here where we are. And so, we're going to be, the series are going to be calling some things out, and we're going to be working on that separating those that are part of the problem from those that are part of the solution. From January 1st, 2000 to December 31st, 2009, whites implemented a lot of plans, initiated a lot of their plans for that enslavement, physical industrial enslavement of the Negro population that are in white America. And so, we work just as hard to counter those plans. And, of course, we are now working on January 1st, 2010 to December 31st, 2019. to try and prevent some of the atrocities that will be going on in this new slave trade that's happening. So we're going to start with our new series, and the new series is How Evil Promotes Mental Illness. There's a lot of mental illness going on in the black community. We're going to talk about how evil is promoting that mental illness. Black people talk all over the place about how things just seem to be getting crazy and, evil just running rampant. And we're going to talk about the things that white people do to promote mental illness. But we're going to also talk about the things that black people are doing and do that also promote those things that whites are putting out there and promote that mental illness and that evil. So let's start with a poem as usual. And this one, the name of this poem is How Evil Promotes Mental Illness. A black male homosexual that didn't used to be. Blacks didn't used to put that title on their family tree. Homosexuals were white men, and black men would stay away from anything and everything that even sounded gay. So what could turn the table so dramatically so fast? Some blacks wanted to be like whites so we'd overcome at last. So white men began to prey on blacks with video foster homes and prisons. Next thing we knew, black men had AIDS, and blacks' HIV had risen. Black men said white women were some freaks and did things black women would not do. We hit the middle 80s then. The black AIDS cases grew. The blacks were having children that were strung out on the crack. Black rap was turned to gangster rap, and black morality had lacked. Black women hung with white women, and black women began to say that God had made them not like men, that God had made them gay. Some whites started organizations, and they indoctrinated more. And the sexual orientation bill hit the U.S. Congress floor. A bunch of white politicians killed the blacks and made many blacks vote their way. Now, even some preachers in our churches say it's okay to be gay. So in their book, It Is a Sin, some black preachers still, they say, that the devil had nothing to do with it, that God made them that way. Black families will accept it now. They're getting with the times. Who cares if it's destroying our black family bloodlines? I know that God cannot believe that we fell for it again. The demons came a-knocking, and we quickly let them in. Now the demons have confused us, and some have lost the will to fight. But others know we haven't lost. Some blacks now see the light. Black homosexuality is a mental illness, and it goes against the things that our males and females were created for, the recreation of black offspring. Black homosexuality is a mental illness, and yes, it can be beaten, but it doesn't require acceptance. Black mental illness requires treatment. God said, stop listening to the demons. God said, be mindful and be wise. God said, if you stop listening to the devil, then you'll stop falling for his lies. That is a Black Panther poem by Anita Black, and that is called How Evil Promotes Mental Illness. So we're going to be talking today in the first part of our series, part 1. We break down the black community into 7 sections. Black community, black men, black women, black children, black senior citizens, black businesses, and black entertainment. So today we're going to be talking about the so-called leaders of the black community, black preachers. The whole integration trick, the whole integration bamboozle was able to be perpetrated by whites because they went to black preachers and they took advantage of those preachers' lack of understanding, lack of moral fiber, and that ego that black preachers tend to have many times. There are some older black preachers that, try to do things that are positive and helpful to the black community, but by far we see the majority of them, they become preachers because people keep telling them how great they are and how wonderful they speak. And, some people become preachers because, that's a way for them to not have to work and be able to have the finer things in life, and be able to have the nice car and a nice house, and they may as well do what they do and make a living off of this thing. And yet other people that were in the not so nice fields, either drug dealing or pimping or popcorn pimping or whatever they want to call it. And so when the situation gets too heated on the street where they got to be looking over their shoulders, many of them decide, well, it's time for a new gig. It's time for a new line of work. And so many of them decide to start a church because that way they can still do the things they did on the street, but now they can make, that so-called legitimate money at it. So we're going to talk about how, there's a lot of talk going on right now about a Negro preacher that it was flashed all over the news because he is being sued by some black males for enticing them and coercing them is the word that was used into sexual situations with him, and they are now, filing these lawsuits against him. And so, of course, you got many women and men coming to his defense and saying that the allegations are not true. And so when you ask them, well, how do you know the allegations are not true? You're just standing up and saying they're not true. How do you know they're not true? This lawsuit says that, he took these black males in on, trips and different things, and that things were done on the DL, on the down low. So if you were not there on these trips, if you were not there in the room where he, slept in the same bed, perhaps, as these black males, then how are you able to stand up and say this did not happen? Because remember, if you're going to say that, then you have to be able to back that up. If you're going to say that these things that these young males are saying didn't happen, then you are calling these black males liars, and that can be slanderous for you if you do not have the proof to back that up, that these black males are in fact lying on the preacher. So black people, they're putting themselves in some serious situations by just jumping up and saying, no, they're lying, it didn't happen. And when I ask each person that I've come across, I ask them, well, were you there on these trips? Were you there in the room? Were you there when these things supposedly occurred? And they said no. But, well, there's no but. If you were not there, then you cannot say on that proverbial stack of Bibles that it did not happen. Now, you also have those people saying, yeah, he did it. He did it. I know he did it because he did that. No. Well, then again, you still have a liable, slander situation in that I asked the people to say, yeah, he did it. I know he did it. I asked them, were you there? Were you there on these trips when he, was with these people? And no, but I know how he is. No, that is not good enough. You are going to have to be able to prove the statements that you're making. So if you're saying that he did it, then you are saying that you are a witness to his encounters, his sexual encounters with these black males. If that is not the case, then you should not be proclaiming on the proverbial stack of Bibles that he is guilty, that he did it. Okay, so, it's a volatile situation for many blacks. It's a mega church. And, one of the things about religion is that it makes black people quite blind. And you got a lot of people up in the church that are in love with the man, and the way he dressed, the way he looked, or even the way he acts, or the way he treats them, or whatever other fantasy situation they may be engaging in. But the thing is, there are some things that are going to come out of it. I remember people talking about how Bill Campbell didn't do it. He didn't do this stuff that they were talking about. And I told them, there aren't too many politicians that get up in there and don't do favors for their friends and for their loved ones and for whatever, and use their position to get people, their family members jobs or contracts or whatever. It is hypocritical for white politicians to make this big production, for the Negro prosecutors to make this big production about Bill Campbell doing all of these favors and whatnot for his friends and family members, and not go after the hundreds of other politicians that do the same thing. And I believe very strongly that Bill Campbell should have sued the state of Georgia and the city of Atlanta, the Fulton County, for that prosecution as of being a discriminatory process. But of course, in their need not to ruffle any feathers, they tend to back away from those lawsuits. But it was not the allegations that got Bill Campbell. You have a lot of black people that we talked to at the time that says, I don't believe he did it, or if he did, I don't really care because he did a lot of good stuff for black people and blah, 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 blah. The tables didn't really turn against him, and he didn't really lose that support until the Negro DA started parading these white women up on the stand and having them testify against him as to things that occurred on trips and different events and whatnot that he went to and engaged in with them. And this was detrimental to his character in that he was married to a black woman that had supported him throughout this trial, throughout this hunt. And now she's having to endure the embarrassment of all of his late night, dark night in the closet type activities that were going on with these white women, and the embarrassment of having to continue to stand by him as a black woman while feeling betrayed as a wife. And so that lost him a lot of support that really cut into his character quite a bit. And, as much as he must have thought of these white women, Because just because a white woman throws herself at a black man does not mean he has to catch her. Okay? Just because any woman throws himself at a married man does not mean he has to catch her. He can step to the side and let her fall flat on her face. So, no, there is no excuse for a black man to risk his life, his health, and the health of his wife and his wife's life by out here having relations with these loose women and bringing that back home, potentially deadly consequences back home to their wives. That's a huge situation that has to be dealt with whenever infidelity is discovered by one partner or the other. So now you have this preacher that is married and has now allowed himself to even be caught up, even if he didn't do it, whether he did it or not, for him to allow himself to be caught up in a situation in which there is even a question as to whether or not he had relations with these young men shows a bit about his character. I mean, these preachers walk around in these $2,000 suits and these $500 shoes and these, Rolls Royces and big mansions and whatnot, like they're celebrities, like they're, stars. And they, claim themselves to be doing the work of God, but really the things that they're doing have absolutely nothing to do with God unless you're talking about a different God. And the God that they serve, of course, is the God of money, the God of evil, the God of greed, the God of lust. And so, eventually all that stuff does come to the surface, and there are situations that congregations have to deal with. Now, we talked about with the way that these black preachers are used by society, by white society, to promote the image of white people being good, of this white Jesus fictitious Savior to black people. And I mean, they promote it on a regular basis. You can't go to a black church without the promotion of this white Savior being at every twist and turn. But that's not enough. They also have to make sure that they maintain control over these Negro preachers. And so they entice them with the trappings of fame and fortune and all that good stuff. And so you've seen these mega preachers over the past 10 years be built up to this level of what many call Pied Pipers, but this level of celebrityism. And, they're having meals with the president. They're having, meetings with the mayor and this, that, and other. And so you got some of them, the Negro preachers, that are trying their best. We talked about Farrakhan and how he, over the past 20 years, have seemed to step by step try to emulate the Pope. And every time you look at him, he's looking more Pope-like. And so, you got T.D. Jakes that run around from city to city promoting himself like, he's a football player or a basketball player. And, you got all these different things going on. You go to Creflo Dollar's church and you walk in and they had a situation where people were talking about you can't park in this place because you got this kind of car. And, you know, if your car looks too raggedy, there's a place back over to the side that you can park. When you walk in, there's a security person at the church, which lets you know they don't have no belief in God. But there's security at the church. When you walk into these mosques, there's, you know, all this security at the mosque, which shows their lack of belief in Allah, because Allah is the one who's actually should be securing the church. You should not have to pat down your people if you believe in your God. So, you know, it's one of those things where, you know, religion has made black people promote the very things that's destroying the faith and trust in the black community. So we talk about congregations. A preacher cannot have relations with young girls or young males in, you know, any case, or he can't ride around in a Rolls Royce or live in a big mansion, or, you know, wear $2,000 suits and $500 shoes, unless the congregation has promoted, supported, and is accepting that. So you got these Negro congregations that are competing with each other. Well, my pastor is this, and my pastor is more this than your pastor. And so many of these things have absolutely nothing to do with God. It is merely clubs. And I know when I first went there, they were talking about Club New Birth, and how everybody was jokingly calling this the place to go to meet women or whatnot. And so a congregation should not be putting up with that image of themselves and of their religious institution. But that is what it is based on. When you look at a situation where you got people believing from what white folks have told them that a man in a fictitious Bible book had 700 wives. We've done shows before about this so-called Solomon, King Solomon, that had 700 wives, and each of them, you know, can you imagine the gluttony involved to even put something in there that shows a man having 700 wives and people being okay with that? That shows that whoever his people were not of the character to, if that ever did actually happen, his people would have to be of the character to stop him when he got 2 wives. You got a wife. Why are you even thinking about disrespecting and giving her only part of yourself by sharing yourself with another person? So if you think about this whole, the things that are promoted in this book that whites gave to Negro slaves. And whites gave this book to Negro slaves to do exactly what the book did. It made Negroes that were fighting white people in slavery, that was just defending their families, their territories, their kingdoms, and all this stuff. And as more and more young people started getting hooked on this whole religious thing, what you saw was them becoming more docile, every generation more docile than the generation before. And then as the books, and people don't realize that every 10 to 20 years, the book actually is revised, and things are added, things are taken out. And, as these books were being revised by different sects, the different sectors and slave owners and whatnot, and other books being written by slave owners of black people to counter the slave masters. You had Christian slave masters that were trying to counter the Jewish slave masters. You had the Muslim slave masters that were trying to counter the Christian and the Jewish slave masters. You had the German slave masters that were trying to convince people that the black people did not even belong, were animals and could be used for animalistic purposes. You had Greek whites that were trying to make it appear that the black people were these mythological animal-like creatures that did not deserve any respect or anything. And so each of these demonic forces came at the black world in similar but slightly different ways, and each one of these demonic forces that blacks allowed themselves to fall into and intermingle with and start believing perpetrated a different fantasy story to black people. And so now you have all